Welcome to the first of many videos that I'm recording at 5 a.m. while my child is asleep. So I'm going to try so hard not to mumble in this, but the desire to talk low is really high. 30 days ago, I started posting again on YouTube and it stressed me out a little bit more than I thought it would. It also taught me a lot, and today we're going to get into everything. I'm going to talk about my analytics, I'm going to talk about my lessons learned, and I'm going to answer your questions. If you're new here, hi, my name is Molly, and 10 years ago I had 50,000 followers, influencer, and I was doing the thing. Some other things happened in my life and I had to walk away from all of that. It just didn't feel right. We're coming back into it. I'm starting from scratch and I'm taking you with me. So buckle up because we're going to step through the first 30 days of my return to YouTube. We're going to start with analytics and I'm just going to get into it. I hate when videos drag you along for forever to tell you something. So I'm actually going to just tell you everything. I was unprepared going into today and for some reason I can't log into my account on my computer. These are my problems, okay? Not your problem. So I'm just going to put Instagram on the screen. That's how it's been going. Now, let's get into TikTok. Has been a platform that I've really only taken seriously in probably the last 2 weeks, and I wouldn't even say I'm taking it that seriously. I'm reposting shorts from other places onto TikTok. I'm trying to interact a little bit. This can be a really all-consuming world, and I don't want to let it be that for me. We'll get there when we talk about challenges, but for right now, know that my TikTok analytics are something that I'm happy with, even though they're pretty conservative. For key metrics, I will put this up. For the first month, I had 3,417 views, which the number I really care about here is the percentage increase, which is that 220% increase. That's like a false analytic, right? Because it's coming from next to nothing. So of course, any attention is going to be a massive jump. All in all, I am pretty happy, specifically with the shares down at the bottom. 3 shares makes me happy. I want to see more is more. I don't want to get sucked into this world of social media and in particular like content creator world where I'm so focused on more is more that I don't pause to say like, look at this mountain that I climbed behind me. I'm pretty stoked that I put out content that at least 3 people thought was worth a share or worth making fun of. So a win is a win. Analytics are analytics. A comment is still a comment, you know? Now let's get into YouTube, my baby. YouTube is one where I deeply care about these analytics. I really have been digging into them through the lens and that my puddle or my pool, no, you know what? It is a puddle. My puddle of data is pretty small. So the analytics aren't going to be something that I can really draw on rather than something to shape my entire content plan around, because right now I haven't been doing this long enough to know exactly what's resonating and exactly what is working. And so for right now on YouTube, I'm going to keep going with what I'm going with. Considering YouTube is one that I started a little bit earlier than the start of this month, I am a little bit more eyes on with these analytics. I started at the start of December just making a couple little vlogs. I think they were all about 3 minutes long, and it was just so that I could get my feet wet with video editing and what does it feel like to pull out my camera and actually record, and what settings do I like to use, those types of things. So it wasn't necessarily to generate any kind of subscriber base. Those videos were like Vlogmas vlogs, so they weren't even structured or tailored to what I want to talk about. That being said, they did give me a little bit of texture of what it's like to be on YouTube, of getting some comments, getting likes, getting views. I had a big video jump off this month, my biggest video, which is almost 3,000 views. Additionally, this month, since the start of the year really, I have really been investing my time in shorts, really taking advantage of because shorts are smaller and because I'm starting to catch my flow with them, I can actually put out more shorts content a lot faster than I can do. Sorry, my cat is attacking me. What the frick, bro? It's like the second that you're awake, they're like, hey. One day we'll have a Monroe chat. As I was saying, I'm really dedicating my time to shorts because making a long form video to actually sit down and record it requires me to get up at this time of day, which isn't possible every day of the week because I'm usually at work. Also, the editing time and the energy behind it, I don't think it's crazy to think that the longer the format, more challenging to produce and to actually edit. Flip side of that is that I can edit all shorts on my phone. Boop, 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 boop. When I'm just like roaming the house, when my kiddo is like locked into his game, I can churn out a 15-second video. I can't open my computer in 15 seconds. The girl is slow. I've mentioned it before that that'll be a challenge and a bit of a hindrance. I do think it's part of why getting videos out is going to fall into more of that 2 to 3 a month category, which if you watch my first video, I'll link it down below, that kind of starts this journey. You'll know that that isn't too far off from what I anticipated. So I am kind of happy in that respect that my first month on YouTube in terms of analytics and content I was actually able to get out really aligns with where I thought I was going to be. And it didn't feel like a crazy stress on my life. All of those are the markers that I'm looking for. Because if I want to stay in this game, I need to stay consistent. And I'm not going to stay consistent if 1 month and 2 videos felt like a massive push. It can feel like growth and it can feel different, but I don't want it to feel like I'm getting strung out over YouTube. What's the point of getting stressed out over something that you don't need to be doing? Now let's get into some key takeaways. I'm going to break down everything, even the small things that I learned this month, and we're going to step through them one by one. If you want a bit of a further breakdown, I'm going to do that on Instagram, but for right now, let's just breeze through. The first thing I learned this month, probably the biggest thing I learned this month, was the art of letting go of content that's just not working for you. You'll see me mention it in some of the videos that I've put out that I re-recorded it like 3 times. And it's not because like that there was something inherently negative. I think it's just that the lift of editing started to become so much larger than a re-record. So a great example is like I recorded one video and the whole time there was like something off with the coloring and I was gonna have to go through and recolor each clip. While my computer has a way of like syncing that, would be a lot and pretty taxing on my computer. And even just editing within those masked colors was really challenging. And I was like, this is not worth it. Every move I make is taking 10 times as longer as it would take to just sit down and re-record it. And I'm so glad I did because the re-recorded video is going really, really well and performing really well. So I have no hangups about that. There's definitely a lot to be said for just letting go of content that isn't working, scrapping it, restarting, and just accepting that. Deleting something that isn't working and re-recording it saves you more energy than just forcing it to work. My second lesson is one I'm calling taste is better than talent. And that is because every time you look at something that you create and you hate it, that's actually a good thing because it means you have taste. If you looked at something that you created and it wasn't that good and you were like, this is banging, that might be problematic. But if you look at something you just created, you're new at it, it's not that great. And you can see that it's not that great and you want it to be better. That's awesome. That means you have taste. Taste takes a long time to develop. It takes a lot of money to buy. And sometimes you're just born with it. Talent is different. Talent is something that you cultivate. Talent is something that you hone. Talent comes with experience. It comes with education. Talent is something that you can develop very easily if you just keep putting in the work. There's a great book called Grit that talks about how the people who go furthest in life are the ones with the most grit, not necessarily the ones who have that innate spark. It literally is an entire book based in strong research that says it is better to have taste and want to work harder and have grit than it is to just be born with talent. It actually reminded me of a YouTube video I saw when I was in college. It was like 2012 or 2013, and I actually saved it to my computer, and I used to watch it all the time when I had moments, like low moments in college, and I felt like I shouldn't be here. I went to an honors college, and I have ADHD. And those two things are not mutually exclusive, but it felt like everybody around me was in 2 categories. They were either immensely talented and it just looked like they were breezing through it, or they were gritty, but they had honed their grit. They knew how to study, they knew how to work hard, they knew how to splice their time. And I was this kind of in-betweener where I had a lot of innate talent. High school was not hard for me at all. And to be an AB student in high school was no effort, but that wasn't enough. That was enough to get me into an honors college. That was not enough to help me excel in an honors college. I had to learn pretty quickly, what is it like to have grit and what is it like to put in that work on a day-to-day basis. And if there's anything I took away from my 4 years at a university for a degree that I didn't turn into a profession, what I did learn was how to marinate in the suck and how to work really, really hard when it feels like you're not moving the needle at all. And I think that that's showing up for me now. There are plenty of things that I've put out that I'm like, this is as good as it's going to be right now because I have growth to go. Third thing I learned was to use the right tool for the job. I'm looking at you, ChatGPT. Initially, I was like, ChatGPT is baller. Like, she can do anything. I just tell her what to do. She's basically my little minion. I love her for that. And I was just stoked to use it. Go back and watch my very first video. I will also link it below in a mortifying way. It's ChatGPT coded head to toe because I didn't know how to write my own script. I also thought I had to write a script, and I'm now learning that I'm not someone who does well with that. I don't do good memorizing lines, and I don't think I produce the kind of videos that need me to do that anyway. I overused ChatGPT, and I'm now finding, after just 1 month, how to use her for the right job. A great example of that comes ADHD comes back in again because it's my brain. So if my brain's here, it's here. One of the things about it is that I work really well speaking a cloud of what I want. It can take a lot of time for me to turn that into a succinct grouping of ideas or a succinct pattern of ideas. One of the things that I'll use ChatGPT for is that tool in my toolbox that can take the cloud and very quickly draw out the overarching thoughts. So I will just talk into my phone, stream of consciousness until I'm done talking, and then I'll give her a directive, like extract the key topics and the key points from this and group everything I've said into different ideas. Or here is a story that I experienced that I find to be really, really powerful, but I'm struggling to find the overarching theme. Do you see a theme that aligns pillars that I have on YouTube? And she's really good at saying yes or no. There's something to be said for being able to have stream of consciousness and then also being able to have a helpful tool that helps reframe that in something succinct that you can actually put out into the world and have it have an impact. And before you think I'm taking shortcuts, I want you to know CEOs do this all the time. And if I could pay someone to do this for me, I absolutely would. But I make $0 right now. Please share this video and help me get monetized. My next one is pretty obvious, but it's just to listen to stress in your body and what it's trying to tell you. I think I am walking a fine line between the stress of growth and stress of overstressing myself. And I have to be really aware of the limits that are already on me as a mom and as a full-time employee who works really early hours. So sleep is already something that I just don't get all the time. And, I think it was last week, I was supposed to get up and do my early morning shift like this and record something for you all. And I was so fatigued and I was like, this is not it. I don't mean stress in the same way that like, oh my gosh, I have this like paper due and I have this. I mean stress, like feel it. Do you feel your body getting stressed? Do you wake up with a headache every day? That's stress on your body. Do you struggle to go to the bathroom on a regular basis? That is stress on your body. So I'm not a nutritionist or a health doctor, so I'm not going to like launch into this, but I think there's a lot of really amazing people out there who talk about stress on the body, straining your adrenals, all that. And I'm trying to be more aware of when I see that showing up for me, but especially when I see that showing up for me and it's attached to YouTube, social media, creating this world for myself, because the goal is to create this world for myself with a positive path. Even if there are sticky growth moments, I still want it to be an overarching positive moment. And sometimes that's going to look like sleeping in and not putting a video out that week. And I think when you zoom out, like zoom all the way out in the year, if I put out, 20 videos instead of 24, because 4 times a year I chose to sleep in because my body needed that, that's okay with me. If that hinders my growth, if that pushes me back 6 months, I'm okay with that. And not everybody is. So your stress is definitely a signal from your body, but you also know how much you can handle and know how much you can gamble. Sometimes we're like, okay, I'm at my point, but I'm going to push it a little bit further. Sometimes you're at your point and you're like, we're going to honor that. So that has definitely been something that I've had to bump up against that I haven't had a lot of practice bumping up against in the last few years, because any stress that my body was laying on me was because I was growing a person or feeding a person, and I can't walk away from that stress. Funny enough, the next one is showing up more. This is something that I really feel good about the last 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks of the month I don't feel as strong about, but it's a journey. I have posted almost every day for the last 2 weeks a form of a short on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So I'm really, really proud of myself for that. I'm proud of myself for showing up even on days it was a little bit harder, and also proud of myself for learning a whole new platform. I was not sold on CapCut. Everybody talks about it all the time. They have a lot of templates, and while the cost is high to use the app, cost of it is a little bit higher than other apps, some of which are free. But for me, the trade-off is worth it. I would rather pay for a year's worth of this product and be able to churn out content faster and have that be a sustainable thing for me to do than the alternative. So I guess that kind of goes back to using the right tool for the job. The other piece of showing up matters is that consistency matters, and CapCut is the right tool for the job to allow me to show up consistently on shorts. They are definitely an enmeshed learning. The last one is really happy and exciting, and that is I can do this. I can actually do this. I can see myself doing this full time. I can see myself turning this into a business beyond the foundations that I've already laid for it to be a business. I can see that this is going to work, and I have no crystal ball thought of what the timeline of it's going to be, but I just feel really, really good about it. I'm really stoked that you're here and that you want to be part of this because everybody matters here. You know, my journey is not going to look like anybody else's, but that's okay with me because it is my journey. And sometimes remembering that also helps block out the noise, right? And the comparison, because, you know, my journey is not going to look like anybody else's, and that's totally okay because it's my journey. But enough about me. Let's answer your questions. I'm reading off my laptop. The first question I got is, what surprised you the most about coming back after 10 years away? The algorithms are totally different, but I think the thing that surprised me the most is how easy it is to learn them. Like 10 years ago, algorithms were this enigma. YouTube and Instagram and TikTok were not sharing their algorithms or how they sort things. They weren't telling you things that mattered and didn't matter. You were kind of guessing. And now I kind of feel like it's easier because they, one, are publishing everything. There's like creator studios and education tools that you can use. You can sit and watch. Oh, my cat. Sorry, my cat just got me good. There are education tools. There's all kinds of different ways that you can further your knowledge of a platform. Plus, there are creators who do it for a living, and their whole job is helping you deep dive on trends and helping kind of format things to your niche and develop your content. So honestly, while the swimming pool is a lot larger, and I think therefore like the noise is a lot larger, maybe getting noticed is going to be a little bit more challenging at times. The flip side of that for me is that being there and putting out good content is easier. There are more tools. ChatGPT exists, CapCut exists, Final Pro. I don't know if it existed 10 years ago. Incredible creators like Tess Barclay and Busy Blooming exist, and they can really help grease the wheels of getting content out. Do you want to be up here? Hold on. We might have a special guest. Hi there. You want to say hi? This is Monroe. He runs this house. He really earns his keep in terms of pest control. We live in the city, so we love that. The next question I got was how I deal with the cringe. Actually, specifically, it said, how do you deal with that? Why did I post that feeling? I don't have that feeling. I don't know what that feeling is. And the reason I don't have it is because I never fed it. Every time that feeling came up for me, I was like, I'm sorry if that sounds really simplistic. That feeling has definitely come up for me. I was a 20-year-old. Okay. I've had confidence issues, but I've done two things. I've done a lot of therapy with an incredible therapist. And the second thing is I have made a choice every time that feeling comes up for me to not feed it. Why did I post that? I don't know. What if someone thinks X, Y, and Z about me? Anyone who's going to talk poorly about you chasing your goals is talking bad about you anyway. People who don't like you, people who make fun of you or whatever they want to think about you, they already have that feeling, right? And you might be like, well, this gives them an opportunity, blah, blah, blah. You're not, what? No, you're not at war with them. You're not at battle with them. Like, it's not like a world where it's just like you versus them and like, gray wall that shit. Look up gray rock, which is a theory of how to approach narcissists, which I don't necessarily think is like everybody's bully is a narcissist, but great practice in how do I receive negative things, how do I receive baiting in a neutral way that closes it down. So I highly suggest you look at that kind of stuff. But the other piece of the cringe is just knowing like, yeah, I'm going to be cringy. I'm sure that there are things I do that people look and they're like, she's so millennial. To which I'm like, yeah, 93 baby. Like, I am a millennial. The same way it was like, oh my gosh, she's like such a mom. True. Let's list more facts. I also a brunette. I also green eyes. I also tired. Like, you have to be able to just laugh and move through them. Like a great example, I got one negative comment this month, which someone asked about negativity, but so I'll just kind of like bundle this in. I got one negative comment this month that was like something like, this is way too much over analyzing or overthinking or something like that. And it was from this like middle to late aged white man. And I was like, yeah, introspection is not for everyone. That's what I wrote back. You don't have to do this. I'm doing this. This might be too much for you. You might do zero. It's kind of one of those things. If you looked up the bean soup theory, it's this idea like, well, what about me? Like, that's too much overanalyzing for me. That's too much of this, and this for me. It's like, scroll on, my guy, because you are clearly not my target audience. You are not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to girls like me 10 years ago. I'm talking to fresh out of college, not sure what's going on in the world, wants a big sister, wants just like someone to pat their back and be like, yeah, dude, sucks, right? Like, so hard. I am not talking to middle-aged weed farmer, who is who commented that. Like, actually, icing on the cake of how funny that comment is to me. But this has been a 9-minute answer to something, and we don't have to have it be that long. Next question was about confidence and like, did it change? And yeah, Definitely my first post compared to my last post, I definitely had a different form of confidence in trying something new. I think my first few posts, I tried to be pretty formulaic and stick to what had worked for other people, which I do think is a good jumping off point. Like, I stand by that. At the same time, you need to grow and you need to find your own voice in things. Lately, in the last 2 weeks, I have been trying anything and everything. If an idea pops into my head, I do it. And the reason that I'm doing that is because, like I said at the very beginning, I don't have a data pool. I don't have so much data that I know what's working and what isn't. And so until I have that, which can take like 6 to 12 months, I'm just going to do what I want to do today. And I do think that's an awesome way of building a really authentic audience. If I'm being authentically me and just doing what I want to do and you're attracted to that, we are simpatico. We get it. And that's what I'm looking for. I want girls on my wavelength. I want you to get my weird sense of humor. I'm going to wrap up the questions there. I have a lot more and I did plan on answering them, but I kind of want to let more time go by. Answering that last question and talking about a data pool kind of makes me think I want to let this simmer a little bit. I'll probably do another little State of the Union here after maybe 3 months. So in conclusion, I don't know exactly where things are going to go, but I do feel really, really good about it. I have a lot of encouragement coming from the people around me to just keep plugging away, and that is a pretty cool thing that I am not taking for granted. I'm just going to keep listening to myself and taking things creatively as much as I can. So thank you so much for hanging out with me and joining me on this really fun walk through it. If you liked this, if it spoke to you, or if you just want to follow along and cringe with me, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. I'm going to put more things that I promised for you down in the description. You have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Long story short, thanks guys. Bye.